My name is Jay Manzano, and this is my persuasive speech. This is my audience. Politics can be a touchy subject for a lot of people because of the fact that everyone always has an opinion on how they feel like the government should be run. When certain topics about politics are brought into a conversation, it may lead into some sort of disagreement or an argument because everyone always has something to include within the conversation. It's so easy to voice your opinions in that setting, but let me ask you this. Does it actually make a difference? Does you telling someone and how you feel about the gun reform or immigration laws actually change anything within the government? No, not really. Because no one's really around to listen, or no one actually cares on what you have to say. Now, let me tell you, when is your opinion actually going to matter? How are you going to find someone to actually care enough to listen on what you have to say? Well, it happens to be the leaders that we vote into office. They're the only group of people that actually care to hear our feedback, because they have to make certain decisions in order to fulfill the country's needs. It is because we are the people that vote them into the office. We're the ones who give them their job. So that's why they want to hear what we have to say. That's how the United States works, because we're a democracy. We're the ones who vote the people into office in order to make the big decisions like gun reform or immigration laws, or else things would go into chaos. We have to have certain people that we trust and we feel like would make the right decision for us in order to make sure that we can make this the best country as we possibly can. The only way to do this is by voting. Now, it may seem so easy. All you have to do is you get a ballot in the mail and you fill out the form, and then you just write who you feel like should be best fit into that position, and then you turn it in. Well, in the United States, there's a huge problem occurring where people just aren't voting. That is why I feel like voting should be mandatory. In order to find a solution for this issue, we must go over a couple things. First, we have to go over the voting turnover rates within the last presidential elections of 2012 and 2016. And then we have to see how it affected the public by it. Next, we're going to go over the benefits of voting and how it actually affects the public on what it does. Finally, I'm going to present you my action plan on how I think we can make voting mandatory. Now, as you can see, voting turnover rates are not really good. In 2012, the presidential election turnover rate was about 55%. So all these people register to vote, even though registering to vote is hard enough because they have they say, I don't have time for it, or I don't care. Yet they do the action of registering to vote, but they don't fulfill it by actually voting. So what was the point of registering in the first place? And then it's, like I said, it's lower than 4 years prior of what it was before. And then in 2016, we can see a huge spike down of 36% of people actually voting. So like I said, all these people registered and only 36% actually voted. So in order to get into the bottom of this, we have to see on why people aren't voting and what are the cons from it. According to fairvote.com, one of the biggest reasons on why people aren't voting is because of mislead uninformed voters. So people register to vote, but then they don't pay attention on what happens throughout the entire election, and then they don't know any knowledge of what the nominees stand for. So they much rather not vote and contribute to the election because they just don't want it to be held accountable of voting someone terrible into office. They want to deny the responsibility of it so they are not held accountable for it. We can see that in the presidential election of 2016 of Donald Trump being elected, that many people expressed a distress of him being elected into office. But we can see also that he was impeached, so the wrong people were voting, basically. All these people didn't like him, but he still ended up getting elected due to the fact they just didn't want to vote in the first place. So we can see how that affects the country for that way. So as we see in both elections of the low voting turnout rates in 2016 and 2012, it is because voters are discouraged because they just don't know. And like I said, knowledge is always so powerful because it can do so much. And then we can also see that they don't want to take on the responsibility of, voting for the next president of the United States, that all these people end up voting for Donald Trump. And we can see that brought them much distress. So in order to figure out how to stop this from happening, we must go over the benefits on why voting is beneficial and why it should be mandatory. So active citizenship. So as a citizen of the United States, it is stated in the Constitution that we have the given right to vote on who gets elected into office, who's going to run our country, and what kind of laws are going to be going through them. Well, not everyone has that privilege. Countries like North Korea have dictators like Kim Jong-un who decide all that he wants that goes on within his country, and no one gets to say anything about it. Well, we can see how well that's going on with all the poverty and all the famine that's going on in that country. That's why voting is so great. Personal agency. It's that feeling that you get to be part of a bigger picture because you get to voice your opinions, and then you can finally see something change about it. You can see certain nominees in this presidential coming up election that you feel like is, oh my God, I love what he stands for. I know he's going to make a great change, so why not vote for him? And then finally, according to the New York Times, Australia actually did have mandatory voting for their prime minister election. If you didn't vote, you were fined. So when they saw that, they actually saw people more willing and more obligated to be able to do more research about it and be more involved, even in the minor ones. Because, well, I'm forced to vote anyways, why not, make the best out of it? Why not try to do some research on who I'm voting for? So we can see with the benefits of voting that in order to have that right, you can decide on who you want, unlike other countries. And then you also get to be part of a bigger picture along with that. So if it's mandatory, you feel more obligated to do more research about it. So in order to make this happen, we must go over the action plan that I have set. In order to be heard, we must contact our local representatives, which you may think, I don't know who they are. Well, if you go to this website listed and you enter your zip code below, you can actually find who they are, and it gives them your contact information. Like mine, I looked up my zip code and it came out with Adam Smith. So I can just send him an email, expressing to him how I feel, and that's pretty much it. And then we can also spread the word about it. Spread a word on all social media outlets, since that's where everyone gets most of their information anyways. Tell people how you feel, so then people can share it, and if it's spread around more, we have a better chance of actually getting heard and people actually start talking about it. And then, like I said, even though it's not mandatory yet, please vote. So now that we reviewed, we can quickly just review over what I said previously. Voting is essential due to the fact that low turnover rates, and it's great for our country. So please vote, like I said, for the Washington State Democratic Caucus. All the ballots are due by March 10th. Thank you for listening.